How many touch points do you need to drive a referral? And I always tell people, like, it's literally, you cannot send too many.
Yeah.
It is almost impossible to send too many touch points, because you think about your wife. How often are you in touch with your wife? I mean, all the time.
All day.
All the time. Your closest relationships, you have thousands of touch points with.
She never said, stop sending me chocolates.
Yeah.
She never said that.
She did kick you out of the house, I can tell.
Or she may have said, please stop calling me or texting me, because I
Please
really don't
don't
want to
come
hear
home
it.
tonight.
Yes, she has said that. Correct.
Welcome to the podcast dedicated to real estate, insurance, and everything in between. Join us as we take you along our own brokerage building journeys with additional wisdom from our network of business experts. Welcome to Bricks and Risk. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Bricks and Risk. I'm Tim Garrity.
And I'm Sean Mooney.
And Sean, we have an amazing guest on today, a friend of mine, super successful business person, Luke Acree from Reminder Media. How you doing today, Luke?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity, gentlemen. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
We appreciate your time. So, background on Luke. Luke's the president of Reminder Media, but he's also the co-host of a super successful podcast called Stay Paid. It's a top marketing podcast on Apple. He's also an authority on leadership. He passionately believes that businesses run on relationships. And by teaching the principles of relationship marketing, he's helped more than 100,000 entrepreneurs and small businesses grow their companies. So I know you're from Virginia. I know you come from a big family, but tell me about Luke as a kid, and how did your childhood pave the path for where you are today as a successful business owner?
And you're coming out with the hard questions right out of the
I am, man.
My childhood. It's like I'm in therapy here. Luke as a kid. So I grew up homeschooled. A family of 8 kids, homeschooled all the way to college. All of us were. Pastor's kid.
Yep.
So my dad's been a pastor for 34 years at the same church in Fluvanna County, Virginia, small town, one of those no stoplight towns, cow fields, cornfields, that type of idea.
Yep.
I fell in love with music at a really early age. So that probably had more to do with my business success and sales success than I realized. I went to a Christian camp and I was playing the trumpet at the time. My mom got me a trumpet, or trumpet lessons, I should say. And I went to a Christian camp and there was a kid there. I was probably 12 years old at the time, and he was playing guitar.
Okay.
And let me tell you this, gentlemen, ladies don't like trumpet players. They like guitar players.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, name me one really popular trumpet player. You can't tell me.
Drums? I could go drums, right? Drums?
Yeah. Drums are second.
So I saw this kid playing guitar, and man, everybody loved him, and I loved music. And so I went home from that Christian camp and I asked my dad. He had a guitar because he's a pastor and he was leading worship some. And he taught me the G chord, and then the rest is history. I literally played from probably 12 years old to about 19. I formed a band with my brothers, and we traveled around, and we went up and down the East Coast and played coffee houses, conferences, festivals, church camps. I mean, you name it.
You were the guy with the guitar case out in front? Was that you?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Right.
So I played from audiences of just my mom to thousands, So it taught me a ton, I think, as a kid about people and influence, because when you get up on stage, it's interesting. You ask people to clap, to get into it, to dance, to clap, and they don't. What are you going to do in that moment? You're like, hey, everybody put their hands together, and nobody does. They're just sitting there staring at you.
It's like a comedian when they don't laugh, and you're like, oh, man.
Hey, next set of material.
Exactly. It's like, what do?
Yeah.
You got to stay on it. It's amazing. You learn, like, as a musician or as a artist, you got to keep saying what you want to the audience, and eventually someone will break down. And after you get the snowball going, the others will start joining in. And it's kind of like when they teach you in public speaking, look for the friendly face.
Yep.
So you start out and you're nervous, and you look for the one person in the audience that might be nodding along, right? Because you can't help it as a human. You just feed off of other people.
That's great advice.
And so as a kid, that was my journey. Love broke up the band. My brother, the drummer, he got married. See, drummers do get the girls.
Yep.
So my brother got married, had to get real jobs, ended up going to community college because my mom said I wasn't really cut out for 4-year university, not because she was wrong. I was not
Yeah.
the greatest homeschool kid when it came to, school. But in college, did a certificate in computers, ended up following my now wife to a 4-year university, and I started a business in college called Nextmark Design, which was a website business. And I actually started it with my brother, who's the drummer of the band. Yeah. And so that was my first, I guess, my childhood up to college for you.
That's fantastic.
So Luke, with Reminder Media, we see a lot of stuff online that referrals, building your network. You throw out a lot of stuff with statistics, and that's the best type of business. That's the stickiest type of business. Talk to us a little bit about that, about how Reminder Media really has a focus on helping businesses grow the referral business and really network and, allow businesses to grow using that as a vehicle.
Yeah. So my fundamental belief is that business is all about relationships. So I think the currency of business is relationships. The more relationships you build, the more people, you might have heard the saying, get people to know, like, and trust you, that concept.
Yep.
Right. That's what's going to drive business. So I always tell people, it's like, well, how do you build relationships with people? You got to get to know them. And how do you get to know them? You got to have conversations with them. And as a business owner, you think of not doing things one-to-one, you think about doing things one-to-many, because you want to reach multitudes of clients, right? Not just one person. And so how do you do it at scale? Like, how do you build relationships at scale? And this is where this whole concept of staying top of mind with people by sending them things that are valuable to them, that remind them of the relationship, that remind them of who you are, but most importantly, remind them that you care about them. Because ultimately in a relationship, you want to show the person that you care about them, that you're there for them, and that you stay top of mind with them. And so
that's like sending my wife flowers, right?
Yeah, exactly. On a level, it is that.
Yes.
And I tell people this, talking about relationships, like, how many touch points do you need?
Yeah.
That's the $1 million question, right? How many touch points do you need to drive a referral? And I always tell people, like, it's literally, you cannot send too many.
Yeah.
It is almost impossible to send too many touch points, because you think about your wife. How often are you in touch with your wife? I mean, all the time.
All day.
All the time. Your closest relationships, you have thousands of touch points with.
She never said, stop sending me chocolates.
Yeah.
She never said that.
She did kick you out of the house. I can tell.
Or she may have said, please stop calling me or texting me, because I
Please
really don't
don't
want
come
to.
home
Yes.
tonight.
Yes, she has said that. Correct.
So our, really focus is, we want to help the business owner send touch points that resonate with the client, so the client perceives it as a gift, perceives it as an item of value, and in essence, they don't throw it away. It triggers reciprocity. Our flagship product is a customizable magazine, and that really came out of the pain point of, when you look at the touch point market, you have emails, which are great, postcards, which are great, but everybody knows when you get an email from Kohl's or JCPenney's or whatever store, you get a postcard from your car dealership. What do you do with it? You glance at it, you click delete.
Yep.
Right? You glance at it. If it doesn't hit you at the exact right time, you toss the postcard. Serves a purpose, but it's cost effective, but the impact is very low. So then there's a lot of people who jump into the other bucket, which is, well, I'm going to do something really impactful. So they do a gift basket, a bottle of wine, a dinner. Those are amazing. You send me a bottle of wine. I like Caymus wine. I would love a bottle of Caymus, but
yes,
I drink the wine. It's gone. It's super expensive. You can't do it consistently.
Yep.
If you could send me something like that every month, it'd be amazing, but it's not cost effective to do at scale. So here's what happens to business owners. They do something like that one time, and then they miss out on the most important part of marketing, which is frequency. Because frequency creates familiarity, which ultimately creates brand. And that's why people choose to use you, because they know, like, and trust you. And so that leaves a hole in the middle. What can you send that has the impact of a gift, but can be cost effective and done at scale? And that's where the concept of a magazine came in. Hey, what if we create a high quality coffee table magazine? It's too expensive to throw away.
They're not throwing that away. right?
No.
Exactly, man.
You get my
I
magazine.
do. I cut out the recipes and give them to my
There you go.
mom.
Well, it's funny, like, Luke, you and I met through Stay Paid. I was a big time listener, reached out to you. We started networking. Now we know each other well. And I didn't even think about the magazine when I first started listening to Stay Paid, even though I know you guys talk about it. You mentioned it. I read about it. I didn't even think about it. And then the more I got to know you and read about it, and I run a relationship referral-based business, the more I realized, I'm like, why am I not doing this? And I was like, what's the minimum? And once you told me the minimum, I'm like, I'm just going to test it. I got a good relationship with Luke. I trust him. Let me test this out. And I told you the story. I sent out to maybe like 60 people or something, 65 people, my first one, Sean being one of them. And I got 20 some text messages back after the first one was sent. These are people I've known since I was young. Maybe I've only known them 5 years. I sold them a house, or like I met them 15 years ago as an investor client. It was a whole slew of people. And I got 20 text messages. It was all the same. They all took a picture of the magazine. They texted to me. They're like, this is awesome. Or like, what are you doing? Like, the amount of credibility I got from that. Now, again, this is someone who has already built a relationship business. This is what I've been doing. And these are people I've known forever. But the added layer of credibility that marketing piece, like, again, wine, who doesn't want wine? Who doesn't want chocolates or like something great to eat or something, an experience or something like that? Not only that, but everyone started telling me, like, I've been doing them for over a year now. People tell me, like, I still have all your magazines. Like, they tell me, I do them every 3 months. They're like, I have all 4 of them. I'm like, that is unbelievable. It doesn't even matter why, like for the recipes or the content, or they just happen to be a big fan of me. It could be
Did you get mine?
I love this.
I drew the mustache on you and then sent it back.
Right. You sent it back.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, thanks, man. You're not getting a magazine anymore.
I just wanted to confirm that I got it.
But that's it. I mean, you're in the nail on the head, people. It's just unique. Like, for everybody listening that doesn't know, what like how to envision it, think white labeling a magazine. We create the whole magazine for you. Think of Better Homes and Garden. If you're in insurance finance, there's a health version. There's a bunch of different versions we can do. But it's basically, we create it all for you, make it look like you created your own Better Homes and Garden, send it to your clients. It's unique content to you that, is exclusive to who you send it to. But here's the key that I tell people. The reason why it works is because it touches on really 3 components. One is it's a subscription. So it has a frequency that is about it that people come to expect. People come to expect to receive your magazine. So what else can you send to somebody that they actually come to expect to receive from you, right? And they almost look forward to, or they tell you, I have your magazine. I have all 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
So there's this frequency component that's naturally built in. And everybody knows brand is built on frequency. So like, you're in insurance, Geico tries to hit their customers, their prospects and customers about 37 times a month.
Wow.
With frequency, right? And so that tells you what a big brand is trying to do to get in front of you.
Yep.
And then the second component of the magazine is that it's perceived as a gift. So people don't throw it away. Even if they're not into reading the magazine, they see it as a gift that you spent money on it, and it triggers in psychology called reciprocity. Now, I don't want this to just be a show about promoting our magazine, but thank you for letting me.
Absolutely.
You can do this. Just think about your touch points. Just choose a touch point that you can send frequently, but that creates reciprocity, creates impact. How do you create impact? Well, the big mistake that most people make is the stuff they send is all about their business.
Yeah.
And the magazine is not all about business. So it's not just filled with listings, right? So if you're in real estate, you don't just fill it with a bunch of just solds and just listings. No. You don't just fill it with market reports. It's filled with content that clients will engage with. And because they like it, because it's about their life, travel, art, food, design, they keep it. And it creates reciprocity because it created impact that, hey, Tim cares about me. And he just sent me nice. It does have his face on it. I did draw the mustache on it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? I'm curious, Luke, when you started this, and this is your flagship product, did you have a specific intent that you started out with, and then you kind of got different, like I imagine at the beginning it was like, I want to get my name out there. So like, Tim the Realtor sends it out. But then you kept hearing these things that like, oh, I have all 4. Like, do you get different, like, did you get responses over time that kind of changed, like, how you thought of your product?
That's a great question. So my uncle started it about 19 years ago, I guess, at this point. So he started about 19 years ago, but I can tell you kind of the thought process then, which is a good business actually lesson in and of itself. So the reason why he started it is he was in the pet space, and he saw a big problem with veterinarians wanting to get their pet owners to bring in their pets for their shots and their checkups and all that stuff. And so he had the concept of, what if I did a magazine called Healthy Pet that a veterinarian could send to their clients to remind them, hey, bring in your pet. But his whole concept was, which is genius, is I'm not really going to make any money off the magazine. I'm just going to sell pet supplies in the magazine. So that worked to some degree.
That
but
is
it didn't
genius.
Really take off totally, right? He ended up selling that piece of the business. He was headed into an open house with a friend when he moved back to PA. And they went into this open house, and there was a real estate agent there. And the real estate agent wanted to find out, did his friend Bob have a real estate agent? Because he knew if Bob had a real estate agent, he had to sell him that house that Bob was coming into. But if Bob wasn't represented, he could sell Bob any house.
Yeah.
And that triggered for Steve in his brain going, wait, I wonder, he asked Bob, do you remember your old real estate agent? And it was someone from, I think it was like Century 21. Bob couldn't remember.
Yeah.
So this person ended up losing out on a huge commission check because this guy at the open house ended up getting Bob as a client. And Steve goes, I wonder if that's a problem for real estate agents. Now, this is 19 years ago. And he went into it. Now, here's the business lesson. This is why Steve's a genius. You guys should be interviewing him. So he did what you would say any entrepreneur would do. He went to Barnes & Noble. He took a Country Living, ripped off the cover, made a fake cover, put it on a Country Living magazine, and went over to a local real estate agent's office and sat outside for 2 hours as real estate agents came and went. He technically said he told the broker owner, hey, I'm doing a research project for college. And he asked him, hey, would you be interested in sending a magazine to your client? Reminder. And when he got back, every salesperson knows this. He had a bunch of voicemails and people asking questions like, hey, what would the price be if I did 500? Can I have my picture on it? Those are buying questions.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a bunch of lessons here. That's why I'm sharing the story of one lesson is he had the idea, and the time he put from the idea to selling the idea was nothing. Most people, when they come up with an idea, they put so much time doing operations, getting their logo ready. They haven't even sold anything yet. And they're spending all this time trying to figure out the details of the business. Steve literally goes, I wonder if they'll send a magazine. Boom, Barnes & Noble creates a fake prototype. And what does he do? Next day, trying to sell it.
Yeah.
Is their value. That's a huge lesson. Second is to get to your overall question of what triggered this. Is we stuck with one magazine for 15 years. It's called American Lifestyle Magazine. A lot of real estate agents will know it. It's been it was our first magazine, and we stuck with it. We never went to other magazines.
Is that your most popular one of all the different versions you do?
It's only the most popular because of sheer time, not because of actual popularity, but sheer time. It has generated the most clients in that magazine, which has the most volume. But the lesson there is, don't get distracted by all the things you could do. Do what's in front of you and do it at scale. And when you get scale, then go to the other thing. And we didn't know that. Yeah, we didn't know that at the time. We couldn't even tell you that that's what we knew when we were doing it. We were just so focused on American Lifestyle and just doing it and selling it and everything. But when I look back now, I go, man, because I've actually made the mistake now of trying to do too many things. And realize, wow, I didn't realize how good we were because we didn't try to do all these other things until we got scale. And when we got scale with American Lifestyle, then we introduced Good to Be Home, Start Healthy, Business in Action, and these other, and it worked because we had scale. But most entrepreneurs, they get shiny object syndrome. They're like, I can do this and I can do this. And then they don't get anything at scale. And so in essence, they make no money because they compress their margin by going and spending OpEx stuff on all these other items with the dream they're going to get there, but they never get there.
Hey everyone, this is Tim, your favorite Bricks and Risk co-host. But don't tell Sean. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'll get right back to it in a moment. Our audience grows through word of mouth, so if you would please take a moment of your time and give us a review on the platform you're on, that would be fantastic. Please also help spread the BNR word by sharing your favorite episode with a friend. We greatly appreciate your time and trust. Now, back to the show. It's so funny he's bringing this up. So Sean and I just did, we call them topical episodes, where we're talking about a topic. He's relating it to insurance and starting his business. I'm relating it to real estate, starting my business. And we were just talking about scale. And one of the things was needs versus wants. And it's like, who doesn't want a big business? I mean, everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to have this big, amazing company with all these happy people that work there, with all these gorgeous customers that just make them gobs of money. And they're just like, who doesn't want that?
Everybody wants.
But Sean and I both bootstrapped our own companies, as you know, obviously Steve did, same, and you guys. And we both started in broom closets. Like when we started our companies, we're like, our business is, I'm either helping people buy, sell, rent, or invest real estate. Sean's doing, property and casualty, does life now, does all sorts of stuff. He's like, the bread and butter is sales. Like, get the sales moving, get those clients loyal to Reminder Media, to Mooney Insurance Brokers, to Copper Hill Real Estate. Get them loyal to your company, everything that you're doing. They'll become clients for life, which actually brings me to my next question. One of the things you had listed as one of the talking points for today is frequency factor. And you and I have talked about this. You've already brought it up on this episode. And the magazine for me was just an additional 4 touch points in my marketing year, which I do somewhere around like, it's not a science for me. It's not as good as Garrett Maroon. I listen to his, I'm just like, man, this guy is dialed in. But, and we got to show Sean him. But I do about 30 touch points a year. Have been for a while. The magazine added another 4. But talk to us, Luke, a little bit about frequency factor and why that is so important for anyone in business to hear and what that means.
Yeah. So I'll explain kind of the power of frequency through a popular research study that was done. And I've shared this before. It actually went viral on TikTok when I shared it, which is there was a study done by Hobbs and Herder that basically they wanted to teach the power of frequency or understand it. And so what they did is they went to this community of homes. They wanted to find out who the number one real estate agent was with all these homeowners. They went and knocked on every door, talked to the homeowners and asked who's the number one agent. And they got a myriad of different names, bunch of different agents, not a single dominant agent. They then did what's called an 8x8 campaign. And that's a mailing a week for 8 straight weeks. But here's the catch. What they did is they created a fake real estate agent. So fake name, fake picture, fake credentials. And they mailed an 8x8 campaign. They went back after the campaign was complete, asked the homeowners the same question. Who's the number one agent in this area? And the majority of homeowners said the fake real estate agent.
That is phenomenal.
What does that tell you?
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best.
Nope.
You just have to be the most known. Frequency is all about getting known. I think people spend too much time thinking about the perfect piece to send out and not realizing that, hey, man, it is about frequency. It is so hard to do too many touch points. I have a client, Brian Harris, a mega producer in the financial space, manages like 1.2 billion in assets, a financial manager, and killing it. He does 275 touch points a year for his clients. 275, right? He's doing client events, birthday cards, magazines, emails. He has a weekly email that goes out. I mean, you add them all up, it's 275 touch points. The key to the frequency factor is this. I chose the word frequency because it has 2 meanings. It's not about just the amount of touch points. That's one avenue of it. A good rule of thumb is 26 as a minimum. If anybody's wondering, well, how many should I do? I can't do 275. 26 is a good minimum. Every 2 weeks, you have a touch point going out. But that's where you should start and you should build upon it. But it's the number of touch points, but it's also the channel. See, the key to Brian Harris is he doesn't just do 275 emails. He doesn't just do 275 mailings of a magazine. Brian Harris does 275 touch points spread across the 6 different frequencies. So just like you get into your car and you turn to the frequency of the radio station you want to listen to, your clients are going to receive your content, your information on the frequency that they want to receive it from. So what's a frequency? Voice to voice is a frequency. You can call people on the phone. Face to face is a frequency. You can go do a pop by like Garrett Maroon. You mentioned him. He's a top producing real estate agent. You can do a pop by like him and do face to face. You can do a cup of coffee. Direct mail is a frequency. Email marketing, the email inbox is a frequency. Social media is a frequency. and then screen to screen, text message, Zoom, video message. So you have 6 different frequencies. Now, here's the key about the frequency factor. There's this thing in psychology called this frequency illusion. This is something that Jason Pantana, to give him credit, really opened my eyes to. And the frequency basically illusion states this. If you've ever bought a car before and you see that car everywhere, the reason why that happens to you is because it registers in your reticulating activating system. It's not because that car wasn't there before. It's because your brain is a master at blocking out the things that are not important. Your brain receives hundreds of thousands of inputs a day, but you're not processing hundreds of thousands of inputs. The brain knows what's important to Tim, and so it blocks everything else out. So what the reticulating activating system is it's that kind of filter. Yeah. And so when you buy that car, those cars became important to you. So now it lets it in, and now you see them everywhere on the road. So that's why that phenomenon happens. So why does the frequency illusion apply to that? It's a very similar thing. What the frequency illusion states is that when people see you on 2 or more different frequencies, they believe they see you more than they do.
Yeah.
So if you see me right now on this podcast, or you're listening to me on this podcast,
I see Luke everywhere.
And then you see me on Facebook, or you get my magazine in the mail. You've seen me on 2 or more different frequencies. Your brain is naturally going to think, oh, I see Luke more than I do. Luke's everywhere. And if you've ever heard that before, you're doing a good job. But here's why it's so important in business. Because the fake agent won, right?
Yeah.
82% of sellers interview one agent. So if you're in real estate right now, if you're not first, you're freaking last.
Yeah. So would you say it's more important so if you had 2 options, to be the best or to be the most frequent, I guess you would say it's more important to be frequent.
I would say both, but yes.
Yeah, definitely both.
It's frequency. Starbucks doesn't have the best coffee. They're on every street corner.
It's true. Yeah, actually, Starbucks, that's a good example. Like, Starbucks took me a while to get used to, because my wife, Maria, loves Starbucks, and I would go in there. I was like, this coffee tastes like crap. Yeah. Like, give me the blonde roast, because the regular Pikes Peak is not my thing. But after a while, you just get an acquired taste for it. You like the experience, too. You walk in there, everyone's like super cool, get something to eat, you sit down on your laptop if you want, you just, chill.
But part of you think is like, this is part of it too, psychology-wise. It's got to be good. You're thinking to yourself,
yeah,
this coffee has to be good, because they wouldn't be able to have all these stores all over.
Right. Oh, man, there's an incredible story of Red Bull. You know Red Bull, the energy drink?
Yeah, yeah.
They were on the verge of bankruptcy. And they did this Hail Mary marketing campaign where they took empty Red Bull cans and they went to all the nightclubs around London. And they put a bunch of empty Red Bull cans and all the trash cans outside.
Genius.
And and it had what is, basically this whole frequency. It triggered for people exactly what you're talking about. People started wondering,
what is it has to be good. It has to be popular.
It has to be. Ordering. Yep. And it saved Red Bull. It turned their whole company around. Now they're the #1 energy drink company in the world.
Oh my God.
What a strategy.
Luke, you love business, right? What's the best part of business that you like?
Oh, man.
Pick one.
Is all of them an answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them.
Or what do you love about business? What's your favorite part of operating a business? Like what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, the part I enjoy the most is the leadership aspect of business, which is, leadership is helping basically, in my view of leadership, is taking people to places they didn't even believe was possible for them. And I love doing that for people. Yeah. I love creating breakthroughs for people on my team. I love taking real estate agents that, like, I'm coaching a new agent, Tim Bushnell. He started in May. He's done 22 transactions.
That's awesome.
By now. And it's just like pushing him up a level of what he believes he is capable of. I love that aspect of business. It's like that excites me every day to come in.
Does it? And this is just talking about your upbringing and everything. Watching your dad as a pastor, is it kind of like that for you in a way?
Absolutely, man. It's 100% like that to its core. Our vision statement for our company is empowering entrepreneurs to live a life of freedom. The vision statement for my life is empowering people to live a life of freedom. Now, not to get spiritual on you guys, but like I believe true freedom comes from knowing Jesus. That's my personal belief. And that's ultimately what I want to bring to people through how I live and how I work with them and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, it transcends in everything I do. It's like, I want people from the Reminder Media bus, from the interaction with Luke, is that, for Reminder Media, from the business aspect, how do we empower you to live a life of freedom? Well, our mission every single day is to empower you to close more deals and retain more business. Because if you close a deal, you keep a client, you get a commission check. And that commission check, that's nothing, but it's a tool that can be used to send your kids to the schools you want them to go to go on the vacation you want, to hire that operations manager to do the things you don't want to do in your business so you can do the things you want to do. It's that freedom that you want. But yeah, 100% from my dad being a pastor to my own personal faith to down to the vision statement of my organization. Like that's
awesome.
That's phenomenal. And then we also, Sean and I are big quote guys. We love good quotes. And I'm not sure if you remember the quote that you put in when we asked you, but it's the quote that you talk about all the time when Stay Paid ends, because I'm a huge listener. I listen to it all the time. So why don't you share with the audience what your quote is?
Yeah. I tell people, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. And I would add to that going, look, if you want to live like no one else, you got to live like no one else, right? You want to be in the top 1% of people. You can't live like the 99% of people. 99% of people don't take action. 99% of people are hearers, not doers, right? That's the truth. And it's because they overthink, they overanalyze, whatever you want to call it. But I think it was Dave Ramsey who said, if you want to live like no one else, you got to live like no one else. Meaning you got to put in the work. You got to show up when people don't want to. You got to take action when other people don't take action. And that's what's going to create that 1% life for you. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. Take action, man.
That's
awesome.
That's phenomenal advice. Well, that's all for today, folks. So thank you very much to Luke Acree from Reminder Media for coming on, being our guest today. And we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Bricks and Risk. Our goal is that you walk away with 1 or 2 valuable nuggets, and we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us today. You can find all B&R episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcast content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.